Well, you might have heard about Max Payne before. It's definitely one of the biggest PC games of the year. For the PC, it was in development for something like almost half a decade, and it finally came out this year, and everyone was wondering how it finally turned out. They'd seen all these great-looking screenshots and heard all about how the game is supposed to, combine aspects of Hong Kong action films and The Matrix and so on, have these really dramatic slow-motion battles and stuff like that. The real question was, would the game really play as well as all the screenshots made it look like it would? It certainly did. It really turned out to be one of the best shooters in this year, or really of all time. People just loved it on the PC. So now that it's available for the PlayStation 2, it's time for a new audience to have a look at the game. And there's some good news and some bad news, really, because on the one hand, people who own PlayStation 2s now get to play Max Payne, and it's a really cool game. On the other hand, the PlayStation 2 version has some problems that weren't in the PC version, and beyond that, they're just sort of problematic in general. Max Payne is a third-person shooter. You're viewing from behind the main character the whole time. He's this ex-New York cop who's been framed for the murder of his wife and baby daughter, and for the murder of his best friend. All kinds of horrible stuff is going wrong in Max Payne's life, and all he's got is this gun and a whole bunch of bad guys in front of him, and he's just trying to take revenge and find out what exactly happened. It's a pretty straightforward yet engaging premise, and it's a very good excuse to let you gun down a whole bunch of bad guys between the beginning of the game and the end. It's really a game about non-stop action. It's tons of fun. Surprisingly, though, it does have a pretty cool story to it that stays pretty prominent the whole way through. It's not really an afterthought. There's a lot of Max Payne's own kind of internal monologue, and it reads like kind of a pulp crime novel or something, so it's really pretty well done. Of course, it's the gameplay itself that's the big attraction. Max Payne can basically shoot with various guns that he has. He's got like Berettas and Desert Eagles and like Ingram Uzis and assault rifles and all kinds of stuff, shotguns and grenades, Molotov cocktails, plenty of stuff. He can carry all of it. Gunshots, they don't phase him that much. You could take painkillers and the wounds magically heal, so it's all good. You run around and you shoot thugs. The game's big innovation is what's called bullet time, and it causes the game to slow down to a crawl, like similar to special effects scenes in The Matrix or like in Hong Kong action movies or something like that. The trick is that during bullet time you can still aim in real time, so you could perform these big acrobatic leaps with with guns in both hands, and like draw a bead on 3 or 4 different guys all in mid-flight and take them all out. And meanwhile, you could see their own bullets whizzing by you, and the game speeds right back up as soon as you land. And it's actually an effect that's very tastefully done and stays great looking and interesting. I mean, some people have accused Max Payne of being kind of a one-trick pony, but it's quite a trick. It's really a lot of fun. On the PC version of Max Payne, everyone was really caught up with the look of the game. It looked really amazing. The PlayStation 2 version looks quite good, but needless to say, not as good. A lot of the textures are sort of blurrier. The frame rate's got some real problems. It's not particularly fast to begin with, and it really slows down quite a bit when there are a lot of guys around, and that can make it more difficult to aim than usual. Besides all that, it's got some problems with its loading times. It just sort of takes a while to boot up, and unlike in the PC version where after you die you can restart right back up, the PS2 version reloads the level from the beginning, and you'll even have to sit through a cutscene again sometimes just to get back on your feet and playing again. So this stuff is it's kind of needlessly gets in the way of the gameplay, and it's too bad that it's there. It's safe to say that it does hurt the game a little bit, that it neither looks as good nor plays quite as smoothly. On the other hand, the game does control well. The PC version used the typical mouse and keyboard setup that's used for pretty much every shooter, and this translates very nicely to the dual analog pad. You use the left stick to move around and the right stick to aim, and the left trigger triggers bullet time, and the right trigger makes you shoot. So you could easily perform these big, flying leaps and all kinds of stuff. It's very intuitive to pick up and play. It almost feels like the controls were designed for a gamepad rather than for the PC's controls. The left analog stick doesn't let you aim quite as precisely as maybe a mouse does, but there's like an auto-aim feature enabled by default to kind of fudge your aiming for you a little bit. And you can turn it off if you think you can point the stick exactly where you want. The graphics on the PC version of Max Payne really stole the show, but since they do suffer a bit on the PS2, it's safe to say that the game's sound is one of its best qualities. The voice acting is kind of hammy, especially the dialogue is really kind of overwritten and really broad and stuff, but it really kind of grows on you after a while and is quite well done in the end. And likewise, the sound effects of the various guns all sound great. The enemies sound a little bit repetitive, but they're pretty funny, so it's okay. And the sound of bullet time, it kind of mutes all the guns, and you just hear the pounding of Max's heart. It's a really great effect and just contributes to the whole look and style of the game. In the end, Max Payne is just a really great shooter. It's not the longest game in the world. It'll take you between 10 and 15 hours to finish. There's some replay value, mostly in just that the game is just really fun to play. You'll want to go back in and try it again. What's great about it is that it's just the whole pacing of the game is just relentless. You never get anything in your way. You're always pressing forward, fighting more guys, going and going. It just feels like you go through a lot by the time you get to the end. It's too bad that some technical problems get in the way of the whole experience on the PS2 between the loading times and some of the graphical shortcomings. These things are sufficiently noticeable enough that it's easy to recommend one of the other versions of Max Payne to prospective players over the PS2 version. That said, if you have a PS2 and that's all you have, then Max Payne is definitely a game you should try. It's one of the best games of the year on the PC, one of the best games of the year overall.
Oh.